well, after today, we'll only be 30 miles away.
Mm-hmm.
Bunny just ran into that girl, the one with the backpack that you signed.
Really? So today is 147. That's day 147 on the Appalachian Trail. This is your host, Radar. And that was a view of Mount Katahdin. That's the first time I've seen it knowing that that was Katahdin. People have been like, oh, you could see it off this mountain, you know, like 150 miles back. And I'm sure you can. It's almost 3,000 feet taller than the general range of mountains in Maine. So I'll go back through some of that older video and figure out, because I intentionally took a lot of shots on the top of some really tall mountains, particularly, oh geez, I'm trying to remember the name of that place. All the way, there's a mountain where you could see Mount Washington and then hike like a half a mile to another peak and then see, and I swear you could see Katahdin. You had to have been able to from there. I just thought that would have been a really cool day to see both of them on the same day, because Mount Washington was really a marker. Mount Washington was really a marker for us when we were in Vermont, and you could see it off of the top of the lookout. So if you go back to the video where we were at the lookout in Vermont right before we went into New Hampshire, that is where we first spied Mount Washington. And it's just crazy. You can kind of, just to think that you can connect the dots of mountains for that far. So we were able to see Killington, and then Mount Washington, and then Katahdin. Very cool stuff. And each one was each one you're like, oh my gosh, I gotta hike 2 weeks to get to that stupid thing. Or I gotta hike 3 weeks to get there. Anyway, there's more shots of the 100-mile wilderness. And a couple quick thoughts about the 100-mile wilderness. Someone said it's neither 100 miles nor is it wilderness. It is 100 miles. I think it's 100.3. I'll look later on that. But it's not wilderness. It's great though. It's a great stretch of trail. It's not a wilderness area in the traditional sense. And there's just there are a lot of roads in here, and there's a lot of day hikers and stuff. So online, if you look at forums and stuff, people hype up the 100-mile wilderness. Even some of the hostile companies and stuff like that on the other end there, making it out to be like some treacherous event. It's super safe, lots of ways out, great cell phone signal the whole way through, lots of day hikers and campers. Again, it really reminds me of starting out in Georgia, just less car noise. So it is beautiful though. It's prettier here than Georgia. We got some other thru hikers finishing up their hike right now in front of us. Just a shout out to all the trail crew that come out and volunteer and give their time to convert unpassable areas into these. They're almost like timeless staircases. See by the moss on the rock. The staircase has been here for a real long time. These aren't everywhere. There are a lot of them. There's gotta be thousands of them on the AT. This is just a real beautiful kind of one of those final pieces of forest. You know, we only have maybe 50 miles left until we're done. This stretch of the 100-mile wilderness today has just been beautiful. We've passed several large ponds that are some of these ponds are miles long. Some really nice water, creeks and streams and rivers, and then just this ancient forest. It's really something else. Makes you realize that there are parts of this forest that you want to see again, part of this trip that you have to come back to. And I guess it's really interesting because just in the last few days I started realizing why people sometimes will do the AT over and over and over again. They're just things that you just don't see the first time you're on it. And there are things that you wish you could see again. I really just want to stop and eat blueberries right now. It's like my favorite thing to do. All these ponds in Maine, it's unbelievable how many there are, how much water is just held up in these mountains. And people recreate on them. And the other crazy thing too is like they don't really have a lot of usable calendar time up here. I mean, you can only hang out and use the ponds and really recreate in this state from mid-June until I guess mid-October, and then by then it's just ice cold. Ice cold. So we have adjusted our plan for the day. Yesterday we did, I think, right at 27 miles. We did 26.8, I think. And then right now, today we were only supposed to do 22. But I think we just changed that to right under 25, like 24.9. And it's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I think I've got another 8 miles to go. But we do about, even at a really easy pace like this, if I can keep this nice easy pace without stopping much, I can do 2.5 miles per hour. So over 4 hours you get 10 miles done if the terrain allows. When you start really getting all this like weird too many roots and too many rocks really slow you down big time. Like your ankles and feet just get tired, and your head gets tired too. The other thing that's been slowing us down, believe it or not, are the mosquitoes. They haven't been bad. Just yesterday, there was like a 2-mile section where if you even slowed down, you would just get destroyed. I had probably 100 mosquito bites on the back of my legs by the time I finished yesterday. So I'm just hoping that we don't have a replay of that. So far, today's been pretty easy as far as bugs go. We haven't had, and I hope it continues this way, we haven't had any issues with bugs on the trail. There were just a couple little spots where the bugs were really, really bad. But if you started southbound in June, according to some people that we met, they had the black fly season, which lasted for about 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And one guy had to flip out of there. He decided to start. He started out of there. He was right in here when he got hit by the black flies. And he said it was so bad that he said at one point he had at least 100 of them on him, and he just had to get off trail and quit. But he didn't quit. He flipped down to I can't remember where we were. That could have been Massachusetts, and then he headed north from Massachusetts, and he's behind us right now. But the trick with the black fly is that they like to crawl into your clothes before they bite you. So, like, I've only had like 3 of them bite me on the whole trail. One of them was in New Jersey, of all places. It was the only one I saw in New Jersey the whole time. It must have just caught a wind and flew down one night from up here. But yeah, I had one crawl 6 inches into my shirt on my back and bite me right in the square of my back. And I can feel him through, you can feel him obviously because it's a big old fly, but I didn't feel him crawl down there. So that's kind of the trick with black flies, is they like to get underneath your clothes, and if you're wearing a watch, they'll try to get underneath your watch. But yeah, bugs haven't been bad. It's just been yesterday. It slowed us down a little bit. So we'll see how this afternoon plays out. I'm guessing we'll finish around 7, somewhere between 7 and 7:30 this evening, which is really late. It's late because the sun now goes down at about 8 o'clock. That's like the latest it's up. Last night I was eating dinner by the moonlight. We all were. We got up late this morning and got out at about 8:30. But tomorrow we're going to try to get up at 4 and get out by 5. That's just tentative right now. It just depends on how tired we are this evening and how hard these last few miles are. But if we can get out by 5, we have, I think, 13 miles into Able Bridge, which is essentially the start of, that's where you exit the 100-mile wilderness and enter Baxter. So we were thinking if we can get there by 10 a.m., we can eat breakfast there, resupply, and then hike another 10 miles to the foot of Katahdin and be ready to do Katahdin the day after tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes. Right now our summit schedule just tentatively looks like we're going to have kind of socked in weather for summiting Katahdin. But we'll see. Weather's been really tricky lately. The El Nino season has come to an end. It just stopped. That wind stopped blowing. La Nina isn't active either. So there's just a neutral prevailing winds right now. Like for the last week or so, the winds have been prevailing out of Ontario, which is ridiculous. So anyway,